Es libertario, narrador, activista y un apasionado defensor de la libertad individual. Preside Free the People, una fundación que inspira cooperación pacífica y valores libertarios. Y Newsweek lo llamó uno de los cerebros del Tea Party. Autor del bestseller Don't Hurt People and Don't Take Their Stuff. Es sin duda una voz provocadora y esencial en el debate sobre libertad y política. Con ustedes, Matt Kibbe.
Hola. My name is Matt, and I'm a libertarian. Do you know this word, libertarian? I hate labels and I hate branding things, but I like to be honest about who I am and where I'm coming from. But it's hard to find the right word anymore because it used to be liberal. Now liberal means something else. So we started using the phrase classical liberal. That's clumsy. Our worst enemies, the haters, call us neoliberals. I don't even know what that means. But I'm a libertarian, and I believe that every one of us, with our unique talents, our unique hopes and dreams, should be free to live our lives free as long as we don't hurt people or take their stuff. That's it. That's liberty in a nutshell. Don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. Now, I'm a libertarian because I'm also an individualist. And I want to be free to pursue my dreams. And I'm hoping that my neighbors feel the same way. If you try being free, if you try living in a world where people don't hurt people and take their stuff, but your neighbors disagree with you, it doesn't work at all. It does not work. So the importance of this philosophy is for everyone. It's not just me, it's not just libertarians hiding in bunkers, hoping that no one messes with them. It's just common sense. And you probably know this because I stole this phrase from your mom. Do you remember? Stop hitting your brother and give him back his toy truck. Don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. And by the way, your mom, she stole it from her mom. And it's that common sense value frame that keeps civil society together. Now, the opposite of don't hurt people and don't take their stuff is coercion. It's violence. Government, by definition, its operating modus operandi is violence. If you don't believe me, try being a conscientious objector when it comes time to pay your taxes. You're going to find out, as the kids like to say, F around and find out. It's not going to work out. Probably the most obvious example of government violence is war. We all hate war. But you know who doesn't hate war? The politicians and the potentates and the profiteers that benefit from that violence as you and I pay the price for it. Government is violence. But what about the good wars? What about the war on poverty? What about the things that we want the government to do for us? Those are good, right? This is an important thing for people to do. But what if the war on poverty doesn't actually reduce poverty? What if the war on poverty never shows up for the people that actually need the help? What if when it does show up, it makes things worse? What if the primary beneficiaries to government programs like anti-poverty is the bureaucratic class and the politicians and the crony capitalists that feed off of the system? That's another way to think about it. Now, we libertarians believe in individualism. And sometimes we lean into this a little too hard because one of my intellectual heroes, a woman named Ayn Rand, famous novelist, loved to say, you don't have any claim on my life or my property. She's right, but the other half of the libertarian coin is quite different. It's about community. Because your community, my community, communities in general, what are they made up of? Individuals, free individuals who have decided to cooperate and work with each other to do something together that none of us could have done by ourselves. There's power in freedom, and there's a responsibility that comes with it. And I use that word, responsibility. Think about this for a second. Freedom is a responsibility. Do you ever look in the mirror in the morning and think to yourself, I got a lot of work to do, I have a family to feed, I have neighbors that need my help, my country's in trouble? Freedom is that burden, that work that you have to do personally, because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it. So freedom is the right to live your life, but it is the responsibility to step up. But if government tells you, if you went to the voting booth voting for politicians that said, let me solve those problems for you, you outsource that vote to somebody else, maybe you'll start to think, well, I guess I don't have to do anything. I voted for the right things. They'll take care of it. And as those projects don't work, as the money keeps flowing into the government, as your taxes go higher and higher, you start to think to yourself, am I getting ripped off? You start to resent the people that you're trying to help. It creates tension. It creates the kind of distrust that tears communities apart. This is what we have to fight. So, I'm a libertarian, but I'm also a populist. And I love saying that, libertarian populist, because I expect people to get triggered, particularly here in Latin America. When I say populist, you're thinking of someone like Hugo Chavez, who did so much damage, so much destruction, imposed so much violence and poverty and suffering and starvation to the people of Venezuela. I had the opportunity to do a podcast on my show, Kibbe on Liberty, with Ricardo Salinas. We were in Mexico City a month or two ago, and the conversation was going well, and as podcasts go, I thought I would throw something out there to see what would happen. And I said to him, I don't know what he's going to say. I said to him, I'm a libertarian populist, expecting maybe pushback. And he's like, yes, me too. Because if you look up the word populism in the Oxford Dictionary, what does it say? It doesn't say Hugo Chavez, it doesn't say Adolf Hitler. It says a political movement that attempts to appeal to normal people, regular people. If that's not us, I don't know who is. If that's not our goal, I don't know what our goal is, because our job is to turn people on to these values, the values that your mom told you about when you were a kid. And if you think about it, the free market is radically democratic. It is radically populist in the sense that everybody votes every day, all the time, and it looks like chaos, but somehow out of that process, people get what they want and what they need. The difference between the market process and the political process is in politics, it's like Game of Thrones. Winner takes all. In some countries, literally, winner takes all. Everybody else gets screwed. So we should be the populists. One of my favorite economists, a guy named Ludwig von Mises, said, the market is not a thing, it's not a place, it's a process. It's that beautiful, chaotic process of free people figuring stuff out, trying to work through their problems, trying to imagine what the future challenges come to them, all the while trading with other people with different knowledge and different aspirations, different dreams. So what is a libertarian populist supposed to do? Some run for office, and I deeply respect them. There's all sorts of fascinating things going on in this world right now. Maybe you're paying attention to what's going on with Javier Milei in Argentina. Gives me some hope for that. But I don't think the solution is politics, because politics is downstream of culture. I think our job is to reach people where they live. Not reach people through the economists that I love to quote, not reach people through the philosophers like Ayn Rand that I love so much, but could we tell stories based on values, based on emotional connection with other people? This is what Terry and I, my wife, have tried to do. We started an organization called Free the People about 8 years ago, and our idea was to take these simple values of liberty and translate them into stories, into video documentaries, into comedy. Comedians, by the way, are the ones that are going to save the world, because they're the few souls out there still that are allowed to say the things that we're not allowed to say, the things that the speech police won't allow. And if we can't say them, we can't work through those problems. We can't live through that beautiful process of figuring things out that is the market. So we have to reach people, and we have these cool tools, right? We have all of these social media tools that are also radically democratic. Forget the censors, forget the top-down controls. It is fundamentally different than when I was a kid and some man on the news said, "That's the way it is." I see a lot of young faces out there. You don't even remember those days, because you live in a world where the right to know anything you want to know, anything you're willing to work for, anything possible is at your fingertips if you're willing to do the work. That's exciting. That's an opportunity for us to speak to a much larger audience than we ever have before. It's an opportunity for us to be libertarian populists, to be popular in the most important sense of the term, not for clicks, not for the easy way out, but for the conversations that transcend political divides. The conversations that can turn people on to think for themselves, to think about new ideas, and maybe, just maybe, read some of those cool books that I was turned on to when I was a kid. We just did a comedy bit called, what is it called? It's called Censorship Royale. Terry's laughing at me. Censorship Royale, which is a spoof on James Bond. And as you may be paying attention, in the UK now, you can go to jail for a mean tweet. It's literally happening. It's beyond parody. But we did a James Bond spoof, and this guy, maybe you've heard of him before, Elon Musk, posted it on X, and now it has 40 million views. That was awesome. We did another documentary about the most devastating pain that a father felt during lockdowns in New York City, where he not only was losing his restaurant, but he lost his son because the governor of New York, one of the richest places in all of the world, decided that politics would decide who could get care in a hospital. His son dies because he can't get care because some potentate decided for him. We can tell stories that rage against the machine. We can tell stories that are aspirational about people that have risen up and taken that responsibility for themselves. All of those stories have an opportunity to create, I'll call it a political movement, but it's not really that. It's a movement. It's a community based on a common set of values, the kind of values for a world that we want to live in, a world where people don't hurt people or take their stuff. In the late 1940s, a Nobel laureate economist named Friedrich Hayek wrote an essay called The Intellectuals in Socialism. And he was trying to figure out what to do about the rise of authoritarianism, particularly socialism, but he's literally surrounded on all sides: socialism, all the other deadly isms, fascism. And he said, as a classical liberal, we need to think about a bold, courageous strategy, one that envisions a liberal utopia, living in a world where everyone shares your values and prospers and thrives. He wanted us to think big. So I got a project for everyone here. If anything I've said today resonates with you, and you get up tomorrow morning, you're getting your coffee, you're getting ready for your day, you're looking in the mirror, do what I do every morning. Challenge yourself. Say, what can I do? I know there's a lot of work to do today. I have a lot of responsibilities. There's things that must be done. There's things that must be fixed. Look in the mirror and say, if I don't do that, who's going to do it? This is how we build a movement that transcends politics. It transcends our divides and builds a community that we can all flourish in. Thank you so much.